First off, happy Mother's Day. I'm seriously so excited to not only have the honor and privilege of sharing with you guys, but just to celebrate this day. So I want to say, first of all, no matter where you guys find yourself today on your spiritual journey, we are here for you. We're here walking with you and cheering you on. And I know that for a lot of you guys, today is an awesome and it's an exciting day, but there's also, I'm sure a few of you here in the room that today is a hard day. And so I want to acknowledge that and let you guys know that we love you and that we're here for you and we're praying for you. And in light of me saying all that, just wanted to talk briefly about the shootings and let you guys know that we have been praying for those as well. And I know that that is really hard for everybody. And if you guys need prayer, if you need someone to talk to, we are here for you. So just don't forget that we're here for you. We're a family. So again, I want to thank you guys so much. And I'm super excited because I think that this is a message that is not only really resonating with me, but will really just resonate with not only the moms, but everybody in the room. So I have been a mom now for 3 years, which I know is not that long, but I've been a mom of three for 3 years of one child, and then a mom of two children for a year and a half. So I definitely go in and out of those moments of feeling, super inadequate, unappreciated. The love's there. The love's always there. But, there are those moments where, you just find yourself, does this really matter? Is this really actually going to recipients who are thankful for what I'm doing? They might not even be able to communicate that, but does it really matter? And, sometimes you wonder, does anything that I'm doing matter? Is anything really appreciated? And so for me, it's the laundry. It's, I feel like I actually got it accomplished, but then you find the load that's behind the door or something that you forgot about, and you're like, awesome, really felt good about myself, and now I don't. But is it, the poopy diapers that I'm changing? Is it the lunches that I prepare? That's something that I'm sure that we can all relate to at one point or another, whether it's for your spouse, yourself, your kids, whoever. This is something that happens every day. Does it really matter? But that's adulting in general, right? I'm sure that, even if none of those examples is something that you guys have felt, I'm sure there's something, a repetition that you're like, this just doesn't matter. I'm just doing this because it has to be done. But I just want to encourage you guys today that no matter what you're doing, everything that you're doing can matter. And so I think that one of the reasons why we feel so stuck in this is that we end up placing our value on the wrong things. But Jesus actually comes right out and he teaches us the right things that we are supposed to do or supposed to value. Because, see, he came to bring us abundant life, a relationship with God that changes every other relationship around us. And at the core of City Church, that's our belief and one of the things we want you to walk away with today. So I want to share with you guys out of Luke 20. So we see Jesus actually challenging some of the religious teachers of that day. So they have things a little bit mixed up, and you'll see as we read in verse 45. So it says, "Then with the crowds listening, he turned to his disciples and said, 'Beware of these teachers of religious law, for they like to parade around in flowing robes and love to receive respectful greeting as they walk into the marketplace.'" So sometimes we tend to value appearance, but God actually values attitude. And that is something that Jesus really wants to hit on, because we see these religious leaders who are walking around this way. And I actually, I want to share with you guys a little bit of my own interpretation of this verse. So I think, here we go. Okay, so this is Danielle's translation. So beware of the Instagrammer or Facebooker who likes to post the best pictures with the prettiest filters and loves the likes and comments and opportunities to be featured. So although, yes, that is not the Bible, I'm going to testify right here, that is Danielle's own interpretation. But really, that is how, when I read that verse, that's what sunk in, because social media is everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're a mom, if you're, anybody, you slap a title on it, whatever you are, social media is everywhere. And I think that's how we measure our lives. If, I can speak for myself specifically. But one of the things that I wanted to share with you, which is definitely an area that I struggle in appearance over attitude, is, okay, so I'm a photographer. So I love to take pictures. I love to be able to capture those memories for people to hang on to. Even when the moment's passed, you can look back and you really just relish in that time. And right now we're working on my website. So I'm actually setting up styled shoots, which if anybody has heard of a styled shoot, let me just recap what that is for you really quick. So basically, your desired audience, whoever you want to reach, you actually pick those models, you get them out, you set them up with the style you want them to wear, the scenery, everything. So I'm in that process right now. Well, if I have this perfect image of here's the image that I want to capture, this is what it's going to look like, and I get there, we start setting it up, everybody's in their outfit, everybody's, doing what they're supposed to be doing, right scenery, everything, and then the pictures aren't coming off as I want them to, a lot of the times I'll have to check myself in that moment because my attitude starts getting super frustrated because this is not playing out how I wanted to. A perfect example of it, let me just get real with you guys, is we had Easter a couple weeks ago, right? So we were all super excited. Easter is typically like when you hop on social media, you see that ideal family. They're looking so cute. Everybody's matching. Their outfits are, weeks planned in advance, and that was me 2 weeks ago. Made sure I had everything together. Drake, you're wearing this. I'm wearing this. The boys are wearing this. So we get to church. Okay, everything's done. Everything's over. I'm like, hey, who wants to get Easter pictures? So I'm taking pictures of all these families, and then it's our turn. Well, if you guys remember, we had that monsoon, right? Okay, so this is what I turn around to find. And in that moment, my attitude, I had like 2 seconds where I was like, oh my gosh, everything's ruined. But I had just to look at the expression on my boys' faces and what they were doing. And Grayson was absolutely stoked to be able to show his brother how to jump into that puddle and make the highest puddle that you could possibly make and get it everywhere. And they were soaked and drenched and everything. So I could have taken that opportunity to just have a terrible attitude. And I was like, you know what? I want to look back on these pictures and I want to remember that there was pure joy coming out of my boys' faces, and they were so excited to be able to just relish in that moment. And you can see it. we were an absolute disaster, but I look back on that and it was a blast. We had so much fun. Our family was in town. It was awesome. So just being able to pause for a second to make sure that my attitude was in the right place, that's when I could have let appearance just ruin everything for me, but I just changed my attitude. And that is not to say that, like, I'm a pro at this from here on out. No, every single time that I have an opportunity like that, I have to constantly check myself. So all of that to say that God is far more concerned about the way that I do something and not just the what. So what is it for you? Maybe it's a distraction of appearance getting in the way of doing the small things with the right attitude. So, say momming is not your thing, but what if it's at work? Say, you're sitting there and you're thinking about that one coworker that just always borrows your stuff, borrows with every intention of bringing it back. And, you've had a horrible day. And you're like, if they borrow my stuff one more time, I'm just going to let them know. Like this is enough. Go get your own stuff. And then here comes that coworker. Hey, I'm so sorry. I can't find my stapler anywhere. I have probably like 10 packets that need to be stapled. I will staple them, and then I promise I will bring it right back. Oh, girl, you don't even have to ask. My stapler is your stapler. You take that stapler. You put your name on it. You can own that stapler. I don't care if I ever get it back. But the attitude behind the whole thing was so negative. And although that coworker is never going to see it, your appearance is showing something completely different. So in that moment, if you'll just check yourself, it's even more important for you and me both to make sure that our attitude is reflecting the appearance, because that's what's so much more important. So and maybe it's not at work, maybe it's at home, maybe it's, even like, I don't know, your neighborhood. Maybe if there's a neighbor that's doing something like that, if it's with the kids that you teach, if it's anything, I feel like, we can all think of that. Who's that coworker, or what's that situation that looks like that we do need to check, our attitude, because I know I'm definitely guilty. So when we use appearance to cover up what's really going on the inside, then we miss out on God's desire to transform us from the inside out. So actually going on to the second half of verse 46, it continues to talk about these religious leaders and how they love the seats of honor in the synagogues and the head table at banquets. Then in verse 47, it says, yet they shamelessly cheat widows out of their property, and they pretend to be pious by making long prayers in public. Because of this, they will be severely punished. So we tend to value importance, but God values integrity. I actually checked out the Message translation of it, and I really liked what it had to say. It says, all the time, they are exploiting the weak and helpless, and the longer their prayers, the worse they get. If you want to, keep that on the screen, that's perfect. So every time, that we think of these characters, it could be anybody in your mind who are so belittled already, and then we see, these people who have so much more than I'm sure you can pick up any scenario that you can think of. We hate that. We hate people coming along and picking on the people who already have nothing. And I'm sure that you guys can have someone or a group specifically come to mind where we see that. So I just wanted to take a step back and look at, if we value importance, but God values integrity, what is integrity? And I know that we can all come up with our own definition, but ultimately, it's who it is when no one's looking. It's who you are behind closed doors. It's who you are when you really think that you cannot be seen at all. There's nothing wrong with being important or successful, but it will never satisfy. And that's ultimately what I want to get at with this point. So another way of looking at it is, when you're given a small task, when you're given the things in life that are so seemingly insignificant, can you do that well, even without anybody acknowledging you or appreciating you? So I'm going to give you another story here. So if you guys have been to our house or our condo, we live, connected to units. And we are, if you go to the second floor of our house, we kind of overlook this cute little dog park. And it's awesome because I love to take the boys out there and whatnot. But because it's a dog park, what do dogs do there, right? Okay, so they have these designated stations where, they ask you politely to please pick up after your pet. And I'm sure that we can all either see in our minds or have been guilty, me too, of letting our dog or our animal go to the bathroom and then not picking up after our pet. I can think of instances where it is really, really late and really, really cold, and I don't want to let Lady outside, and so I just kind of let her go, and then I just let her come right back, and I'm like, I'll get it in the morning. So... But what does that say about our integrity? It's something that's so small, but really it's a big deal. And I know when I go out to the dog park with Grayson and Asher, one of our things that I like to do with them, it sounds weird, but is to have Grayson point out all the dog poop so that we can go with a trash bag and pick up all that's left behind. So that's a little bit to get rid of my guilt, but right, that there's going to be more people walking through that area, and you don't want them to have to step on it or their kids to have to mess with it, because that's a hassle, let me tell you. So that little tiny thing in and of itself speaks loads of integrity into your life and about your character, because if you're willing to pick up dog poop, then you can definitely handle the bigger things that are thrown your way. So one of the things actually is, it says in Luke 16:10, it says, one who is faithful in little is also faithful in much. So if my character can't handle it when it's little, it won't be able to handle it when it's big. There's a quote by this lady I really look up to. Her name is Holly Furtick, and she said, the little things don't lead to bigger opportunities. The little things are the opportunities. And that just really hit home with me, and really, apply that to everything in your life, and it's so significant. So in Luke 21, verse 1-4, it says, while Jesus was in the temple, he watched rich people dropping their gifts in the collection box. Then a poor widow came by and dropped in 2 small coins. I tell you the truth, Jesus said, this poor widow has given more than all the rest of us, for they have given a tiny part of their surplus. But she, poor as she is, has given everything she has. So we tend to value show, but God values sacrifice. So it's not the size of your gift, it's the size of your sacrifice that matters. And God knows that if you truly give your all, that's all that you have to give. And he will honor that because he knows that is a sacrifice for you. So I want to share with you guys, Drake actually shared it last week, but some of you in here know the story, and if you don't, I'm going to recap. So there's a girl named Riley, and we know her from living in Texas, and she, about 6 months ago, was diagnosed with heart failure, and she has been through a couple procedures, and ultimately they found out that she just wasn't getting better, and so they were waiting for an angel heart, and they knew that that was just where this had to go. And while this whole thing was going on, a friend of mine from Texas, her name is Robin. One thing that you need to know about Robin is that she loves coffee. So that's her love language 100%. If you're feeling down, she's going to bring you coffee. If she's feeling down, she's going to go get coffee. So that's just one thing that you need to know about her. And Robin, because of all this going on, She decided from that moment that Riley was diagnosed with heart failure until who knows when was going to give up coffee. And she wanted to do that until they actually got the call that she was going to get an angel heart and that things were going to be looking up from then. And so not knowing, not being able to insert a time frame on there for 6 months, and to you guys, it might seem like a cup of coffee. To me, it's a cup of coffee, but that was a huge sacrifice for Robin. So one of the things I want to focus on is what is your cup of coffee? What is the thing that you feel like is such a huge sacrifice for you? Because I want you to focus on the fact that it's not the size that matters at all about your sacrifice. It's the fact that it is a sacrifice. So whatever it looks like. And ultimately, just don't let your all seem small, because it's not. Maybe it's not that you're a mom, maybe it's, at work, maybe it's anything. So whether you're working and you're feeling unnoticed by your boss, and that, he's never going to acknowledge me, he's never going to give me recognition, my name's not going on, this thing that we're working on, but you're giving it your all, and you're doing it with an attitude that is just so amazing to God. You're doing it with integrity, and you're sacrificing stuff to work on that project. That's what God cares about. So know he sees you. And he will honor you for that because he knows you're doing it. If you are a mom and you are at home and you wake up every day doing the exact same thing, you're changing the diapers, you're making the lunches, you're making the bed, you're doing the laundry, all of that. I found myself picking up Hot Wheels the other day and I was like, does this even matter? But when I'm doing that, those are moments that I'm teaching my boys how to live life honoring God, and I'm teaching that next generation. And that is honoring to God. Whether it's at school and you're taking that test and you're like, this is never going to do me any good. I'm like an art major and I don't want to study, math or something. If you're doing it to honor God, if you're giving it your all, if you are studying, if you're pulling those all-nighters, and if you're not going to cheat because you care too much about your integrity, that's a sacrifice for God, and he wants to honor that. Even if you're walking out today and you're like, you know what? I haven't called my mom. That's something that's seemingly so insignificant, but I bet you that is going to make her entire day. Absolutely 100%. And that's something that is so honoring to God because he cares about the little things, because that's where the sacrifice is. So I just want to take a moment to pray with you guys, especially with all the moms today. So God, I just want to thank you so much for all these moms, for their hard work. And God, I know that so many times it can go so unappreciated, but God, you see it. And I know that at the end of the day, that's the reminder that I need, is that you're watching me. You see me invest. You see me instill values into our kids that are so honoring to you. And it's not small. It's not insignificant. I pray that the moms in the room that just need that pat on the back today from you, that you just have that, you go get it, girl, because I see you, I made you, I know where you are, and I believe in you, and you are doing exactly what I want you to do. And so I just pray that you will remind them that they are a blessing and that they are loved. And I thank you so much for all the moms in the room, because like Drake said, if it weren't for them, we wouldn't be here today. So I'm just so thankful for all of them and thankful for you and your sacrifice, God. And I just pray that every single thing that we do, no matter if we're a mom or not, God, I pray that everything just be glorifying to you at the end of the day. In your name I pray. Amen.